No, 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 no. Oh, we're on live. We're on live, Tonia. I'm going to take my glasses off. Hello.
Hey,
Tonia Rees.
we are on live. Woohoo! And we got there
surely
this week, considering we thought we might not have got here. Tonia Rees, Australia's Cowgirl medium, and Tony Kiss, the mammal, is here today. The mammal is in the house, as the girls tell us.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, the mammal is around. Very, very. I'm actually in a trendy part of society at the moment, Tonia. Anyway, my age group, which is anywhere from 35 to awesomeness, is a mammal. And it's people that get out there and wear lycra and go for a bike ride. And it's basically so you don't have to talk to anybody. That's the best thing about cycling. Just get out there and ride for no purpose. Yeah. I love it already. All right, how are you, Tom? Good to see you. And good morning to everybody in the TNT community. Great to have you on board. Now, this week, as I said, I will ask you. I'll go back to the original question, Tonia, didn't I? How are you, mate? It's good to see you.
Good, mate. Really good. We're all good here in Victoria. We're going great, actually. We're going to ban you Sydney-siders soon.
Absolutely. Yep. Welcome. Come over the border. Coming around. Port Adelaide, my heart. Let's just give a special mention to everybody who's listening in Adelaide or has got family in Adelaide. You guys are going into quarantine now, I believe, and you've had 20-odd cases. I haven't read the news this morning. Have you read it all, Ton? What the COVID cases are in Adelaide? Has it gone up or down, or is it stabilising?
I haven't actually heard because I'm not a big news person.
Yeah, no, because we get our news from the universe. We sit there and we get guided, like everybody else on TNT Thursdays. This is their news. This is how, like, ladies and gentlemen, what you've got to understand is what you hear today is not fact. It's just stuff we make up, all right? We give it our best shot. But look, guys in Adelaide.
22 people. Good work, Mon. Thank you for sharing.
Monica, who else would it be but our lady of numbers, Monica?
Yes.
She's the lady on track with that. Thank you for that, Mon. Yeah, for those guys in Adelaide, hearts go out to you, especially you can relate to it a lot more, Tonia. But guys, just keep safe. Do exactly what Victoria did. If we can really keep these numbers down, that'll be great. Like, look at England, Tonia. They've got 1,000. America's got 1,000 new cases a day. So does the UK. And there's over 800 people a day still dying in certain countries where it's America, England, Spain, and France. It's way too many. And the problem is this thing is spreads like rapid fire. So guys in Adelaide, don't muck around with it. Contain it, and just so the rest of Australia can go on holidays. Just stay home.
Yeah, that's right. We want to go to Western Australia. They won't let us in yet, but it's like you got to go through South Australia to get there. So, God damn it. I was like, damn.
Unless you come up through New South Wales, go up to Northern Territory and then across that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're back home, Tom. You're back home from your holidays. You were down in Bright. How was that? Tell us, give us a bit of a wrap up for us people that haven't been to Bright. What's going on there?
Absolutely love Bright. Anyone that's in Victoria or anywhere and wants a destination, Bright is amazing. And for us, it's only a couple of hours away. So it is a place that we often will just head off to if we've got a short period of time to go away. We just go up there and it's absolutely magical. The energy there, you can stay right on the river. So you've got the sound of the water. It's just absolutely beautiful. So I highly recommend it. For bike riders like yourself, Tony, if you love walking, there's heaps of walking tracks and there's so much beauty, in the nature up there. But also the shop owners were really rapt to have people coming back into the town because they've not only been through COVID, but they went through the bushfires. So they were shut down for the beginning of the year through that. So they've really done it hard. So I will put a plug in for anyone that you want somewhere great to go for a holiday. Bright is absolutely magical and I highly recommend it. Shelby's stirring you up, Tony, and said, have you become a speed hump, Tony?
I have actually. It's a pretty good call. Now I look at myself. Bloody hell, Shelbs, that's spot on. So, the problem is I'll still get ran over, but just slowly. So make it quick. Shelbs, how are you? Good to see you on board. Hey, guys, I just got to let you know, I can't see any comments come up this morning because I'm going off my phone today. So, Tonia Rees, I'm so happy about this. Tonia, this is my best day ever on TNT Thursdays. You have to read out all the comments now because you always go, oh, what did that person say? What was that? What was that? And here I am. Now you can see how hard it is to scroll on side and have a chat. So, ladies and gentlemen, please do direct your comments towards Tonia. I'm happy to answer any of them all. But let's have a look. And we are going to get into.
Say hi to Hudson. Hudson's on board with Erica. So hi, Hudson.
Hello, Hudson. Hello, Hudson. Hello, Erica, as well. Good to have you both on board. Now, guys, look, we're going to get you guys to do the heavy lifting again today. We're here to support you as much as you can. As you know, my background is as executive coach, mental health coach as well. Tonia's the medium who's going to talk to you from a spiritual aspect in a beautiful way. So we would love to know what's going on for you guys. And as you guys actually populate that little feed there, because I know you will, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm going to do a 3-second blurb. I'm in country Bathurst, New South Wales. As you can see, I'm wearing my lycra today. I'm doing the Mental Wheels Foundation cycling tour, where I start off day 1 today, where I'll be doing 120 kilometers of bike riding with a bunch of awesome people. Now, you're saying Bright's a great place. I've got to say Bathurst is one of the best places you can actually go to for a holiday in New South Wales. It's 2.5 hours away from Sydney, and it's a beautiful old city. It really is, or a town, I should say, Tonia. Lots of parks. It's famous for the Bathurst 1000, the car race, where you know, you have international car drivers come over and they go, it's one of the best race circuits on the planet. So you should come down here. Great vineyards around here. People are beautiful. Lots of nice parks. I absolutely love it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to today. So as soon as I get off the show today, I jump straight onto a bike and go. And I'm going to name drop because I can. I was really privileged. I had a coffee this morning and I got to meet, if anybody knows cycling, I had to meet a cycling legend, a guy called Mark Renshaw. Mark Renshaw is an Australian rider who's ridden the Tour de France, which is the most prestigious thing you can do as a cyclist. It's the World Cup of cycling. And if you get into a team to do that, you're at the best of your game. Mark's done a fair few of them, also ridden in the Giro and the Paris-Roubaix, really world-famous races. And it was nice to have a chat to him. And I actually first met Mark. Remember, Tonia, when Rupert and I came along and did the mental health chats here in Bathurst. So, it was really nice to bump into him again. So, yeah, really cool. Okay, that's my 2-second blurb on where I'm at, which gives you guys at the TNT community a chance to get on there, do some heavy lifting, tell me what's going on in your life, and Tonia will answer them, and I'll just sit there and agree with Tonia.
Yeah, but I had questions about cycling. So, all right, how do you manage the traffic control? Like, obviously you've got the little, cyclist ahead person and do you guys ride in a bunch? Do you, do you do 2 at a time width-wise? How does it work on the roads?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually, because it's all about safety when you go cycling, and we know about that. So these tours are really, really, really well organised, and safety is the number one priority. You'll have a support vehicle behind you, so they'll be right behind a bunch of cyclists. We'll normally ride in a bunch of whatever COVID restrictions are at the moment, so whatever the organisers have put on, you will ride 2 by 2. So there'll be a sign on the car saying caution cyclist ahead, so you're well protected. Within the bunch, or it's called a peloton, when you have a bunch of cyclists, in the peloton, you'll have 1 or 2 ride captains, one right up the front, one right at the back of the bunch, and they'll have radios on. So they'll be able to communicate to the car back on what's happening. And also there'll be a lead vehicle, maybe a kilometre up the road. And that will be telling us if trucks are coming up the road or anything like that. So, yeah, it's really, you feel like you're the only people on the road, but cyclists have a really big responsibility and make sure that you stay in your peloton, don't fart ass around and just support one another as much as you can, yeah.
Yeah. So, and what about as far as driving, if you're driving around a group, you still need to do that 1 metre, or you would already have that 1 metre to the line anyway?
Absolutely, yeah. We abide by that 1 metre rule all the time.
Yep. Yeah, interesting. Okay, Jeanette's asking, everyone wants to know, do you carry a Hiwi? Like, how does everyone go to the top?
In case you want to go to the dunny.
She's asking a good question.
Jeanette, if you got to go to the dunny, is that the question?
Yeah.
You put your hand up and you go, I've got to go to the dunny. And everybody pulls off the side of the road. And the funniest we did was a ride from Adelaide to Darwin, and you're on the Nullarbor, and there's no truck stops, there's nothing, and it's barren as. And for the guys, it was all right if you had to go for a pee break. we were cool with that. We just turned our back. But for the girls, they'd have to ride for kilometers to find some bush so they could squat behind. And like, so you really felt for the females on those rides. So look, going between here and Genolan Caves today, I think we'll be pretty good servos and everything like that. So we'll be well equipped. Yeah, we do stop quite a lot.
Yeah, do you monitor, like, because obviously you have to keep your fluids up, so you'd be drinking a lot as well, like, or do you go, I've got a ride, so I'll drink a lot prior to, so I don't need to stop all the time?
Yeah, look, one or two things. You've got to prep. That's a good question. You've got to prep before you go. So you've got to eat. You've got to exercise the right way just before the week leading up. So that means you're not going in too hard. You've got to make sure you eat the right foods. You've got to come in prepped. If you can't come in prepped, you can't cram before the exam. You can't hydrate all of a sudden on the ride. So that your preparation is key. Whilst you're on the ride, everybody's got different rules. I've been taught by a few coaches is to get something into you every 30 minutes. So whether you're hungry or thirsty, it doesn't matter. You've just got to pump it into you, regardless. I mean, like I had a lasagna once. Yeah.
Do you know?
Oh, Ton, do you know how hard that is? My God, you know, you think it's easy, but to ride and eat, and like you got to imagine, you got to go to your back pocket, pull like, let's say, a protein bar out of music, and then you got to unwrap it if you haven't unwrapped it, or a sandwich. Some people carry sandwiches like Vegemite sandwiches or peanut butter sandwiches, and they've got the Glad wrap. And you know, like the best of times, you got the shits with Glad wrap. You go, oh, just get like when you're on a bike and traveling, it's 10 times worse, and it's 10 times worse when you got sweaty hands and you are actually hungry for food. So it can be challenging. It's something that I remember going to a training camp. Actually, it's the one that this is a plug. This is a slight sideways plug. Camp Jindabyne this next year in 2021 on between the 2nd and 6th of January. Yeah, cycling camp, which I'm actually hosting. Yeah, it's a camp that we're hosting.
Because it doesn't tell you how far people need to be able to ride. So I was like, because I'm thinking there might be some that want to join you here. How fit do they need to be? And do you need a bike that's you know?
Yeah, you need a good bike. You'll be doing 404 kilometres over 4 days. So it's something where you've got to have a certain standard and that of riding, but you don't have to be elite. It's not for elite. It's for every cyclist that's gone out there and had, you know, going out at least 2 times a week or once a week at least, which is good. But yeah, so the food thing's hard. So I remember we had to get trained on how to eat on the bike. It sounds silly, but it's freaking hard. It is really hard. So you learn how to prep before, where you open things up halfway and whatnot. Geez, you know, it was really bad. Mum used to like cook like the schnitzel and the goulashes and put them in little lunch boxes, and you know, they were great on the bike, but very hard to carry an esky around. But you didn't want to disappoint your mum. You know, you've only got one mum. You don't want to let her down.
No, even if you're tossing that food out on the way.
Yeah.
Now, Monica's got a great question. How long have you been a mammal for, Tony? Like a few years now? And what brought you into it?
Okay, now if we go into mammal, and it's an age thing where Monica said I think it's 40 and above, it would be 7 years. That's how long I've been a mammal. How long have I been? Look, I've been into cycling since the year 2000. One of my best mates, Phil Bray, got me into it, which I'm really blessed to have him in my life. And he got me onto a bike, which was great. And I fell in love with it straight away. My relationship with cycling is we have good years and bad years. Sometimes we hang out. Other years it's just too cold and the dust just collects bike, and I don't ride it that year, do I? And then I get inspired. So for the last 20 odd years, I've been on and off all the time. I'm not consistent. I'm not OCD on the bike. Yeah.
Yeah. But what made, so basically you got introduced to it, and what are the drivers now to do it? Like to keep doing it? Like what do you find? Like obviously, you know, fitness and things, but you know what keeps you going at it?
Yeah, a lot of things that have inspired me this year is basically fitness is one. The second is to get my hips stronger. So I've got to lose weight to get my hips stronger. So I don't want to get hip surgery. I should be getting hip replacement. Oh my God, everybody's going, he's too young for hip replacement. He's only 47. Stop it, everybody. Stop it.
Yeah.
Look,
nah.
Yeah, no, I know. I've got my physio, Orla Cunningham, up in Newcastle, who's, thank God, is moving to the eastern suburbs really shortly. She's got me onto a program for my hip, and it is mind-blowingly good. She's got me out of surgery, and she recommended to stay on the bike. So I have, and I've got a whole lot of floor exercises. The other thing is for my mental health. Like, you know, life can stress you out. Getting on the bike gets oxygen in me. I get to hang out with really good mates when I go cycling. And for my mental health, it really works well. It puts you in a good place, and it sets you up for a good day as well. And also, I like the aspect of raising awareness for mental health by going on to charity bike rides and organising other bike rides. So I really like that. So there's so many factors that motivate me to go cycling. So it's really, really cool.
That's fun. We had fun. We actually got the bikes fired up because we take them with us on the motorhome. But ours are more. Yep. We actually we made a bit of a mistake. We got mountain bikes because I did have a road bike, but I found that was really hard when we'd go, you know, on rail trails or tracks. So then we thought, no, we'll go the mountain bike. But in actual fact, we probably should have gone the hybrid.
Yeah. I reckon as long as it puts a smile on your dial, it doesn't matter, Ton. I reckon if you're out there and you're having a good time, I couldn't give a shit if you had a tricycle. If it made you smile, that's what it's all about. You go out there, have a good time.
It is the best fun.
Yeah.
It is the best fun. Like I have to. There's a childlike sense of fun to riding a bike, I reckon. And I also we've got a little puppy that I stick her in the basket, and it was her first time when we went away, and she loved it. It was like she was rapt not to have to walk.
Oh, how cool! And she stayed in all the way.
Yeah, she did. Brilliant. She was rapt. She just sat there looking around at everybody and having a ball.
Oh, that is fantastic.
So, and Leanne's put here, so it's hip to cycle. I think it is hip to cycle, Leanne.
Yeah, look, it is. It's a great thing in New South Wales, and I know Victoria's got a very healthy. Actually, Victoria and also Adelaide, including Sydney, have very healthy cycling communities out there. This year with COVID, bike shops have been inundated and haven't been able to keep up with sales. A lot of people are getting into cycling as a thing, which is really cool. But, you know, Ton, you know what spun me out? When I went to, when I was in Holland, and I went to Amsterdam and also Rotterdam, they've got more bikes than cars over there. And then, you know how we go to the shopping centres, Ton, and you've got like your Westfields car parks? They've got car parks like that, but only for bicycles. And they are chock-a-block with all these bikes. And people just get around from A to B on bikes, and I love it. I wish we could be more like that, you know? So hopefully we'll get there. It's just, it does, you feel like a kid again, don't you? Like, stuff I'm going to get on my bike. And there's always good memories around that.
Yeah, the freedom of it is so much fun. I'm not really keen. Like one part we had to go on the road a bit, and I'm like, I'm just so not keen on, you know, being with the traffic. Like I was just knowing, you know, how to keep over enough on the road and like to let, you know, people go by and not hold up traffic. And, you know, you just, as someone who doesn't ride a lot, there's so many things that you've got to, you know, be conscious of, but the fun that you have. And that's when I was reading about your, you know, your 4-day cycling that you're doing next year. And I thought there'd be a lot of people that possibly haven't ridden that would love something like, you know, that to look forward to and go, let's, you know, let's build up to it. So that's why I was asking if there's people on the feed who would love to join you, like a bit of a holiday, you know, incorporate a holiday into the 4-day cycling.
And that's what it's all about. It's about having a holiday. Down at Lake Jindabyne is amazing. It is a holiday. That was the other thing. We know it's great. It's good fun. You go for your bike ride. Then after that, you go hiking, or you go for a swim in the lake, or you go to the Schnapps distillery, or you do all three of those things, but in the right order.
So I'll be Schnapps for breakfast, ready to get on the bike.
Oh, I tell you what, Tom, the Schnapps distillery is amazing down there. It is. They make it on the property. They grow their own fruit. It is just the bomb. Love it. Love it.
Awesome. So this 4-day retreat that you're offering, would people, right? So for those that might be interested, because I know when I was reading it, I was quite fascinated and thought, you know, for a lot that'd be a great fun thing to look forward to. Is there an age limit? And, you know, obviously you need a bike that's half reasonable. So, you know,
you need a proper road bike to do it. The fitness levels have to be at least average. So,
so when you say road bike, I've got a retro road bike with a little basket in the front with that cutter with like 7 gears.
You know what, Tom? You would be the most popular person, and this is the way it works. Do you know what, Tom?
I'll be holding everybody up.
if recognition's what you're after, you will get tons of it. Because I'd say it's always is at camp every year. The person that gets celebrated the most is the underdog, is the one that, you know, has the crappiest bike, but gives it a really good crack. And I love seeing that kind of stuff where people go, holy shit, what have I just entered? You know, like we went on a charity bike ride many years ago. It was the captain's ride with Steve Waugh. And this guy rocks up, and his bike was about 20 or 30 years old. Like it was a boat anchor, basically, what it was in the terms of, and mate, he got through the whole thing. And cycling's all about, it's not about the gear, it's about how much heart and soul you've got. If you, and that's what like these next 3 days will be. Like there's guys out there on bikes that are worth 15, 20 grand, and they'll die in the arse. And you'll have other people that are on a bike worth a couple of thousand, and they'll be champions. And they'll just, you know, it's just about their heart and soul getting through it and pushing through it. And that's what it's really all about. It's just having a go.
Yeah, exactly. So do you then cater? So if somebody jumped on who, you know, was keen and practiced and built up a bit of fitness, but, you know, is there a certain speed? Then you say, look, work on doing so many kilometers an hour on your bike so that you can keep up with the group, or do you have variable?
We want to keep an average of about 23 to 25 kilometers an hour over, let's say, a 4-hour period.
Yeah, cool.
That puts it into perspective. Yeah. Which is achievable. It really is. Or, you know, cycling's a lot of mind over matter. It really, really is. You know, that's one of the things that we've noticed in the sport, where people can talk themselves out of a distance, or they can just get on with it and just dig deep and say, stuff it, you know what, saddle up, let's go. With the coaches that we've got on board, we teach you how to ride 80 kilometers or 100 kilometers. Like today I'll be doing 120, I'll be a lot of climbing and that. Have I really done that before? I have in the past, like years ago. I've done enough training up until now. Am I worried about it? Not really, because I know how to ride 120 Ks, and then tomorrow's 150 Ks. Am I going to be setting any world records? No way in the world. But once you get taught how to, then it's about pacing yourself. It's about hydrating yourself. It's about being able to put your hand up and say, hold on a second, I'm about to stuff up here. I'm about to blow up. So the terms blow up for whenever you're going to be exhausted 100%. And the group pulls over and you have a 5-minute break. But you've just got to be vulnerable enough to say, oh, shit, I'm not doing too well here. So, yeah, there's no heroes. There's no heroes. There's no heroes in cycling. The heroes go off on their own. Like, mate, if you want to go break world records and for whatever reason, and that's only about 5% of people that do that. The rest are there for a good laugh and to make some new mates, really. Yeah, that's the other thing too.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be a lot of fun. So tell us a bit about that. So that's at Jindabyne, and that's early next year, isn't it? When are you hosting
early next year? Yeah, we're hosting that. So it's going to be great. We're going to organise a massage therapist every day. We've got 2 celebrity chefs, Mark Jensen and Jason Roberts, who are cooking for us breakfast, lunch and dinner, and they're an absolute hoot. And then at night time, we've got guest speakers for dinner, and we'll basically just crack open a bowl of red, sit around, talk shit, have a good time, go check out town, do it, like enjoy it. Like it's about fun. It really is about fun. The only serious bit, and that's not even serious, is the 4 or 5 hours worth of cycling that you do first thing in the morning. And you got the famous one and only Frank Kinsasoa, who's going to be the camp director, as in charge of all the bike rides, and he sets out all the routes and makes it all happen. And he's worked with Tour de France teams, the Australian team and everything like that. So you're in good hands, really. And he, you know, as long as you tell Frank he's an awesome coach, you'll get along with him well. Just don't question him.
Gay says, have you got your masseuse with you, Tony, today, like for this round?
No. Gay, are you offering? Because I'll say yes right now.
For those that maybe can't cycle for your retreat, can they come and offer their services? As in massage?
Look, I'd love to. I've already got my massage therapist all lined up. But on the next one, we'll definitely keep that open, you know. So the guys we've got on board, that's the other thing. All the staff that come on board, they cycle as well. So they'll do the cycling, then get off and do their job. So the chefs will prepare breakfast, and then they'll get on the bike and they'll all ride with us. The massage therapist will ride in the morning, get off the bike, have a shower, and I've done that for about 10 years. And then massage for the next 4 or 5 hours non-stop until dinner. You know, every support person pretty much rides. If they don't ride, they're in a support vehicle. So it's really, really well done. A lot of good fun.
That's awesome.
And then I get up and tell a few jokes. They're not that good though. They're shit sometimes. Cyclists are a tough crowd sometimes. But the more drunk they get, that's my crowd. I can crack them up. Don't you worry. Easy material.
I love it. Love it. Monica wants to go just for the food and the massages.
I'll tell you what, Mon. It's only $1,000. It's $1,095 for 5 days of accommodation and eating like a king or a queen. I agree with you. I've actually told a lot of people I'm only going for the food because that works.
So how many Ks do you have to do every day for that? I know you
average
said
about 100. 100,
okay.
but what it is vertical climbing. So it's where you've got to go up the hills. That's the killer. So doing it flat's easy, but when you got to ride up and you're going to be up with the temperature as well. Yeah, see, that's it. That's what puts off a lot of people. Like, oh no, not the hills. Stuff that. Yeah. Yeah.
You've just lost half the audience now, Tony.
Yeah, I know. I have to keep it real. Yeah, do you know what I hate? Times like, but you didn't tell me this, and I'm thinking I'm going to try to be as transparent as I can be. It's like, yeah, I know what that. Holy shit. Yeah.
I'd be the one that cuts loose and finds the nearest pub and goes, stuff that.
Yeah. Look, and there are people that do that. I've actually done it on one ride. I'll never forget this. We, myself and a really good mate of mine, Alan Lil. Alan was on the show the other day. Alan and I, on the second last day, you do a time trial, a 40K time trial up to Charlotte's Pass, which is up from Jindabyne up past Perisher to Charlotte's Pass. And Alan and I'm going to be honest with you, we didn't hydrate too well on water the night before. We actually had a couple of reds. And we got into, not even 10 kilometers into this 40K race. And we're riding up a hill. I remember looking at Alan. Alan, is this race really working for you? He goes, no, do you want to go to the pub or go get a coffee? And now this is like 9:30 in the morning. So don't you worry, that has happened in the past, Tonia. You'd be in good hands. We totally relate to that.
I'd be it. Rachel's in with me. She's saying, yep, should be with me. Jeanette's saying also, comment, Tony, about your hair is looking pretty on point. And I was thinking that too. I think it's the hat hair. I think it suits you. Really?
Thank you, ladies. Yeah. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
I agree.
Sure, I'll work on this look then. I'll hat hair, right?
Okay. Yeah, how good's that? It's easy hair.
It surely is. Buy me a beer, I'm yours.
Everyone's supporting you on the show. It's like, yep, they'll support you from the car, Monica. And
yeah, awesome. No, thanks for the support, guys. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Gaze shares that all her uncles and Steve's dad were cyclists. That's how we were allowed to go out together.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, cycling's a great community. It really is. It's good. I suppose you'd have the same though with horse riding and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, definitely. You do. You meet, those that are like-minded, and we're a bit the same. Like, we just have fun. We go out to have fun. It's not too serious.
Yeah.
As in, I don't compete or anything with my horses, but I love to get out in a trail ride and go for a gallop up in the hills, or the nature side of it. Cool.
Oh yeah, I agree with you, Tom. And that's one of the great things about cycling. We get to cycle on some of the most beautiful roads around Australia. So the greatest thing is, when you're driving along, Tom, you'll miss most of the stuff, right, as you're driving. But when you're cycling, and that time that you're not dying in the arse because you're trying to huff and puff up a hill, but when you have that easy moment, you get to look around. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. I love it. I'm really happy we're riding out of Bathurst today because this is such a pretty place. The only problem is Bathurst is a bowl, which means it's the bottom of a basin, and that means to get out, you have to ride up hills and get out. But still, it's absolutely pretty as.
And I think, on the bike, it'd be similar to on the horse. It's so peaceful, so you don't have the noise of an engine like a motorbike or a car. The only thing I notice that especially when I have ridden bikes, on roads and even with the horses, is dead animals are not great. You can smell them.
Can't you? You can just smell that roadkill.
Yeah.
And you can't go any faster. You just got to just cop it. Do you know what I mean?
So that's probably the only disadvantage, really.
Yeah.
Probably the only
Absolutely.
disadvantage.
Now, what's going on there in the world of TNT? What do they got?
Okay.
What do they got for us?
Jeanette says you need a GoPro so you can stream your cycle for us. That's a great idea.
That is a good idea, Jeanette. Actually, that's I just don't have a profile big enough for people to really give a shit. But it's a good idea.
You could lift the profile of cycling, Tony. That's that there's a lot in that. You could have the GoPro harness on, so it's on your chest, and off you go.
Yeah, could do that. I'd have to get a GoPro, but it's a good idea. I mean, like we do it with Rupert Guinness, like so, because he's already got a profile and he talks about cycling and mental health, and he just did one the other day where he takes a GoPro out. So Jeanette, you've got a good point. I just have to get my shit together, and I have to speak to my favorite person in the world, Sally, who's our.
Yeah, and who said that you haven't got enough of a profile? Rubbish.
Stop it,
you can manifest that. You can manifest that. We'll support you. Absolutely. Yes. We want to see more GoPro of Tony's adventures on the road. This could be a whole another TV series, Tony.
It could be. Riding with Tony. No, that's not a good one. Let's scrap that one. Tony likes to ride. No, anything with riding, let's just get rid of, Ton. It's just not right.
Jeanette suggested grey fox.
The grey fox. Jeanette, I like it. Can we change it to silver fox? I mean, like, I'm not precious. I just want just this colour thing. Tonia, you know better than anybody else when it comes to hair. Can I get away with silver?
Yeah, you could, absolutely. And I love Rachel, getting her shit together. You've been saying that every week, Tony.
Yep, absolutely. I think I'll say that till the day I die. I really do. I don't know about you, Tonia, but I always feel like there's always more to do. There's always more to learn. I'm curious about life. I don't like to stay stagnant. I like to keep on moving and doing that. Like, some people stay in that whole paradigm where they were athletes go through this. They were an athlete at one point and they hold on to that dream and they never move on because they've already achieved it and they don't know what else they've got to do. Or it's a business owner that does really well and then sells and then goes, I'm going to retire, but they've lost their identity or whatever they got caught up into. I've never been that kind of person. I like to think, no, I've always got to work on myself. Are you the same, Tom? Or are you guys the same? I'd be interested to see what people have got to say. Are you guys who's really complacent with where they are? Or do you think, for me, growth is a really cool thing. How do you see it, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. The day I interviewed an inspirational lady the other day about this, and we were chatting about, the day you stop learning is the day you die. And the one constant in life is change. So to embrace change and to be open to change, we have to be able to be adaptable. And we, to do that as we get older is learning different things. And it could be strategies. It could be anything where we're actually adding to our toolbox of, being humans, I suppose, and going, what can help me grow? And, and it's intriguing then. So we're keeping that grey matter working. And, it just keeps that sense of fun, I think, and wonder. I think, if we look at things as that, it's very much, there's so much for us to learn. And, you never know everything and you never are perfect. We can certainly learn so much from each other. And I think that's a great thing about being connected is we all learn from each other. And it might be you listen to somebody or, people might listen to us and we just flippantly throw something out there and you get something from that. And that's the idea. And I think that's what keeps us going, Tony, doesn't it, with this? And
yeah, absolutely. The thing that comes to my head is, be humble and keep on being hungry, It's as simple as that. So I'd be interested to see how people feel about that. Like, do they want to continue growing? Are they complacent where they are now and what's going on for them and what's worked and what hasn't worked? Because I know I've gotten to the point of.
Sorry, Tony, keep going.
No, that's it. I was just babbling on.
You were not. If Rachel says never complacent, learning every single day. How boring if you don't embrace change and become educated in so many different aspects. Yeah, I agree. I think, regardless we move forward, even if you do sometimes feel like And complacency is fine in stages and waves. You know, sometimes we need to consolidate. So you might be doing something and feeling like you're not moving forward, but sometimes sitting with a bit of inner peace on it doesn't necessarily mean that you're complacent, but it just means that you're sitting with it for the moment. And sometimes I think that we are led to believe that we have to be driving things all the time. We have to be on, you know, if you look at the media and, you know, every day, like you can get on Facebook and there'll be somebody selling you something on how to be better, how to learn faster, how to get sales, how to, you know, we're driven by the media to say we have to attain things to help our value and worth. And I don't think we need to buy into that, you know, to be moving forward. It can be just a case of a step at a time or a few things each day that you put there that you want to achieve.
Absolutely. Don't believe the hype is what Tonia Reeves is saying all the way from country Victoria. Could turn that into a song.
Yeah. And it is interesting. See, Rachel shared here, currently I'm learning how to help raise 3 children that aren't mine and find my place in it. So that's an amazing thing to take on. You know?
Shit, how do you do that? Who's that? Was that Rachel?
Yeah, Rachel. Yep. So Rachel's got
learning
3
how to bring children. How can I be a Virgo and ask how old are they? And then
they're young.
They're young. What is mum still around? And if mum's still around, what's the relationship like they have with their mother? And then the third question is, what's the expected role that you're to play in their lives?
Yeah, and that can be ever evolving. I know my partner now, who I met, he had 5 boys when we met.
Andrew.
So I became stepmom. And the youngest, his mum had passed. So he had no mother figure. So he was, I think, 4 at the time. And, so he, I more or less played the mother role for him. And even the older boys all had, 2 of them lost their mum as well, but they were older. And 2 of them still had their mum. So, being a stepmom is, it's not an easy role, and some people, really struggle with it. But for me, if you can connect to that unconditional connection with children to sort of be who, I never wanted them to call me mum, or not never wanted to, but never felt that they needed to do that. But I was there for them.
It's a weird situation, isn't it, Ton? Because you go, although your mum's not around and I'm going to be a mother figure, but I don't expect you to call me mum. Yeah, it's just so weird. For me, it's sort of like, and it's an amazing thing that you're going through, because that would have made you feel, is uncomfortable the right word? To a degree, like going, shit, what are the labels here?
Yeah, initially I was like, holy shit, you wouldn't choose to do this.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
Initially I was just like, oh my God, like you really. And, for Rachel, it'll be the same. Like, we don't always anticipate that will be the case. So it's totally new ground, and it's totally, it's a really different one to connect to, because you do, all of a sudden you might have, like, for me, I had 2 children, then I went to like there's 7 around, so it was like, oh my God. And, it's certainly something that there's no easy, do this and it becomes easy. But I honestly believe that the backbone of that is having the partner that you're with, who is the father, in this case with Rachel and with me. They support you 100%. So they have to put you alongside them. If you get the father figure gunning for the kids over the stepmother or father, then there will be struggles. And that's where it becomes, because kids will feed off that. So the children need, hierarchy, and I honestly believe that. It's like the animal kingdom. You have, anyone older has that, that we're here, and then we've got the children as the next step. And I don't mean that they're put down or anything like that, but there needs to be.
Do they get fed last or anything like that, Tom? Or do you feed your
Yeah,
kids first? And then
yeah, and they can't sit on the parents' chairs and all that. No.
no, that's so you're saying the most important thing is to build a relationship as parents with your ex and also their exes as well. Is that what you're saying to a degree, to make sure that the children?
This was actually with their dad. So this is my
Yeah.
partner. So it has to be
Yeah.
unified, right? With
Yeah.
the with the stepdad or whatever. So this is your relationship. So for Rachel and her partner, it's their relationship and him bringing Rachel in to the lives of these children in a way that he supports Rachel as much as he would support those kids. So it's showing the children how they treat.
That to me sounds really tough. Like you've got to have almost unconditional love for everybody involved, and you can't have a bias whatsoever.
No, and it's
you
can still hold boundaries. Definitely, you can't. If you take on a family, you still have to say, look, there's structure here. This is what I tolerate, and you've really got to be strong with that, because especially in my case, I had my own children, and I had they'd been brought up the way that I would bring them up, and then you're mixing those with other children that maybe were brought up a bit differently, and so you've got that balance of. And that's one thing I can take out of it, Rachel, is have your boundaries and stick with them. And it doesn't mean that you have to be tough or hard, but just be firm in, this is how I do things and this is how I like it done, and the kids will respect you more for that, rather than being a softie that they can just walk all over.
So what role do you take on board then with Andrew's 5 boys? How do they see you now? Do they see you as a mother figure, or just as dad's partner, or do they see you as a friend?
Look, the older ones, and I was always very aware of that, is not stepping in to try and take over anybody's role here, as a mum. So I was there as a support, and I was there as their dad's partner. And I have a great relationship with all of the boys. The youngest one, Jack, who I've always sort of, with my 2, Jack was in between my daughter and my son. So he was part of mine. So from when he's been 4 to now, I've been the key role to him. And, we have a great relationship. He'll always give me a hug when we catch up. We get,
nice.
And I've been really mindful, because I never wanted him to feel separate from my 2, so sure. It was always the 3. And it was really funny, because years ago I always thought I was going to have 3 children, and I never, when it came to after I had my second one biologically, I was like, oh, is there one more? And then we were like, no, I can't do 3 kids. And then as it turned out, met Andrew, and took on Jack, because the older boys were all doing their own thing. So they were a bit older.
Sure.
So, they were off and established, whereas Jack wasn't. So
how old's Jack now?
So Jack is, Jack's 19 now.
Oh, wow. So you've known him for 15 years.
Yeah.
Would you claim him? Not, I don't want to use the word claim. I'm going to retract that word. Would you consider him to be your own son if you introduced him out in public?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. I never ever would say stepson. I would always be, these are my 3 kids. It's just like
beautiful.
And because I never wanted him to feel separate. And you've also, for him, he lost his mum at such a young age. That's a struggle, and it is tough. He really had it tough. So. For me, it was just about being there for him and not trying to take over being mindful that his mum was still his mum,
Yeah, and wow.
For Rachel's situation, she's in his house and not hers. So she lives with, spends a lot of time with these children. And she was saying her boyfriend's amazing and supports her. So that's brilliant, because that's really, really important. And the kids are 3, 6 and 11. And
3, 6, and 11. Wow.
The dad's got 50% access, so that's week on, week off.
Yeah, Rachel, I really feel for you too. Hopefully this is helping what Tonia's saying. So I'll just say from my own personal 2 bits, like when if I'm dating, I remember back in the days when I was younger, when I was about 22, 23, I was dating a woman. She had a 2.5-year-old, Tanil, and Tanil was the cutest kid in the world. Now, we dated for 3 years, and we actually dated for most probably a year and a half longer than what I wanted to, but I actually stayed around for Tanil because we had such a great relationship. Like, we had such a strong bond, and I always had to say to her, like, because she'd go, and it's really hard because Tanil would say, "Are you my dad now?" And I go, "Tanil, no, we're just really, really good friends. We're good friends of what we are."
And right at that point in time, Tony's frozen.
No, not at. Have I frozen up?
Yeah, you did freeze. Go back again.
What was my last words?
So she would say, "You're my dad now."
Oh, and I'd say no, Tanil. I go, I'm your really good friend. We're good friends is what we are. So I had to put that, and it's such a hard one to do because the worst thing was her father was a deadbeat dad, right? That didn't want to have anything to do with her. He was a druggo. He was this, that, the other. And, you know, my whole family embraced this kid sort of thing. And I really get it. So it was a good learning lesson for me because I have dated with women with children, and I've always gone in, yep, we're just friends. That's all it is. It's kids are amazing because, you know, they get me every time, and like emotionally it's like, yep, I just want to look after, I just want to hang out with them, I just want to play with them, I just want to do this, just want to do that. And then I've got to draw the line. I've got to draw this boundary up going, oh shit, okay. Yeah, so Rach, I really feel for you because you and this is the same as you, Ton, when you had Jack at 4 years old, he's at that cute stage. He's like, you know, he's fun to hang out with. You want to be like, you do want to step into that role of, you know, you understand his mums are around, so you've come in. Rachel's the same. She's got the three-year-old, the 6-year-old, and 11, which is really interesting ages. I hope some of the stuff that you've shared with her, Tonia, helps Rachel out a little bit, and that would be something worth. I'd be like to know, how's Rachel coping with it, and what are some of the things that she's come up with to help her cope in this situation. It's really, and I love the vulnerability around this one.
Exactly, and it isn't easy, you know. Like, and I think that needs to be said straight up. It's not just a smooth jump in there and it's all roses, because there are challenges, and you know, when there's a 50-50, I would imagine that would be. I've got friends that do that, and that can be really hard with children because they're 50% under one set of rules in one house, and then the next week they're in another set of rules in another house. So that can be very unsettling, and I think that's an even more of a thing where you need to have those boundaries in place to say, at this house, this is how we do it. And, you know, I remember little things like Andrew used to, when the kids were younger, like I would cook and he would make them, their job was to wash up, and they'd wash and dry the dishes. And that was just, they had to do that every night. So it was like, right, you guys do that. And they all had their roles to play, and that really helped as well. And as much as the kids would whinge and bitch and go, I don't want to do it, or I want to do it tomorrow, no, you have to do it. It kind of brought them together as a team, and I highly recommend that. Having, you know, just having chores, it also helps them feel part of that family unit, you know, as much as it is a chore. You're kind of bringing them in to go, right, everyone's got a bit of a responsibility. There's a bit of a hierarchy happening here where we all work as a team. So any opportunity to work as a team is really beneficial and does really help.
I like that as well. So do you, between you and Andrew, do one of you have the role of good cop and the other one bad cop, or how do you play that game?
Yeah, look, Andrew's probably the tough nut. He's very much, but he's a big softy underneath it. So he does that, you know. He's probably the hard ass more than me. But we certainly stand united in, you know, when it push comes to shove. You know, for the kids, we've had ups and downs with them over the years because we went through teenagers, you know, initially with his older boys. And I actually bought the book Raising Boys because I had no concept. You know, at that point, my kids are really young, so I didn't get the whole teenage thing. And I can say that was one of the best things, is to do your reading up on parenting and learning about
Raising Boys. That's an easy one. It should be one page on Raising Boys. Feed them. And on page 2, go, feed them some more. Page 3 will be give them more food, and that should be the book. That's it. That's a wrap. But on a serious note, what's some of the things that you learned from that book? Because it sounds like it helped you out a lot.
Oh, heaps. Boys go through different stages now. Because my memory's not the best, something around, I think it's the age of 13 to 14, they really need the mother to step back and the father to step up. And when I say step up, it's not necessarily changing the roles, but for boys, it's this rite of passage where they need, and if there's a father isn't there, it can be any male figure, like a close friend. It could be a grandfather, it could be an uncle, but it's almost like to really help them step up into things, they need to be allowed to sort of go through that without the mother over mothering them, because that's when they get very much like, oh, go away, mum. They really start to resent that, especially if you're a helicopter mum, you need to just be aware of the different stages that they go through. And I know girls do that too. But I just remember that really because there was so many boys learning about, they need you to step back and just allow them to go through what it is they're going through. And the dad then becomes a bit more important in that, in that part of their journey. And it was really, really helpful. So I would highly recommend, raising boys, and there's also raising girls. So it just explains different stages that they go through, and it all helps. So I think, a bit like we said to begin with here, it's all about learning, and we're constantly learning. And, every challenge has its learning process that we go through with it.
How did you go with stepping back with Jack, like knowing he'd about 13, he's going through that developmental stage, that transition stage where he's going into manhood? Was that hard for you to separate at that point there?
Yeah, look, it is. I also had with my eldest, he was playing up so bad, and he went back to live with his dad at the age of, I think he was 13. So that was a hard one as a mum, to have your son, he really played up. So it was like and then when we sat him down, it was Andrew that said, I think he wants to live with his dad. Because he was really acting out. So as it turned out, that's what happened. And it was hard as a mum to lose him being here all the time, but I knew his benefit, he needed to do that. So I do believe also, as whether you are a parent or a step parent, you sometimes have to look beyond how you feel about it and look at what's best for that child.
Yeah, well, that's tough, Ton. It's things that we don't normally speak about. And having the loss of that, where it's like they've decided to say, you know what, and this is what it would sound like in their head, or in our heads maybe, that you're not good enough, I'm going to go spend time with the other family, right? It's almost as cruel as that. Is that how it would come across to you guys? Yeah.
Oh, you tend to feel that, am I not doing enough or whatever. But again, when I read the book and I had an understanding of it, it allowed me then to go, for his highest good, this needs to happen. And we have the best relationship now. He's the one that rings me all the time. He's currently in New South Wales, so he'll ring up and, he's living out from home and all that. So I have a great connection with him. And I think that's what you got to remember. You get through the childhood, you get through the ups and downs, but in the end, you do become part of their life, and they will respect you as long as they're taught respect by their biological parents. And sometimes it can be challenging. If the father and the mother don't have a great relationship, that can be challenging, because sometimes there's a manipulation that can happen where one parent's knocking the other or the partner of the other, and that can be challenging. I was fortunate that wasn't the case with us, so that was a benefit, but it can certainly, that can add to the dynamic as well.
Yeah, well, I'm so happy to hear that, Tom, that it all comes full. So, and I think that's going to be really inspiration for a lot of parents and step parents out there as well, where just play the game, be consistent with who you are. I always say this one as well, Tom. I think try not to judge, especially teenagers, because that's going to create more of a boundary, or not a boundary, but a divide, between you. If you start going, you're no good at this, or you're crap like that, or you always say this, it's just going to justify that you guys don't get along. But you've just got to bite your tongue, as you're saying. What comments are coming up in the feed? Just out of curiosity.
We've got Jeanette's put in here. Jeanette's put, my stepdaughter, age 4, told her mum that she was going to call me mum when I married her dad. She even banged the table looking cross. That's what I'm calling her. And I tried for months telling her I wasn't her mum, as she has her mum. Well, I got told too. So the agreement was she was never to call me mum in front of her mum. My stepson
Right.
calls me.
Very
So,
strong kid. Jeez, when is
yeah,
she running for Parliament?
yeah.
I'm back at her.
And that's what happens. You don't always get a choice on what, it's up to the kids on what they want to do. And I think if we don't take it personally, and that's the thing. And sometimes with your own children, you can be biased, whereas raising someone else's kids, you actually have an unbiased, and you're probably a better parent because you don't have that emotional driver to be, oh my God, I'm feeling for them when I'm telling them off. And,
But that would piss your kids off because you'd be going, oh, why are you so lenient on the other kids and you treat us like shit? That's what a teenager would say, right? I'm not saying that's what you do. Yeah.
It is. It's a challenge. And I know, many in the feed will relate to that. It's like, it's challenging. It's not easy. So, it is you learn a lot about yourself. And I have to say, if anything, it's been a great leveler for me to learn so much more about what I have inside me than what I would have probably had that experience without that and without the children. But you certainly, you form a connection. I remember Andrew's eldest biological son, he joined the army and then he went AWOL, and we had lots of dramas with him, and I had to take him back up to the army because they were like threatening to, charge him thousands of dollars if he didn't go back. And he didn't want to go back. And I had to be the one because Andrew was working. And I took him back, and I cried all the way after I took him back because he was like, please don't take me. I don't want to go here. And I was like, I was as shattered as if it was my own child,
Oh,
so
wow.
That was really hard. But, we got through that. We've got a great relationship now. So,
yeah. Yeah, that would have been a tough time, but I'm glad it's come through, yeah.
So even, Rachel's here. We get told by the boys 3 and 6 that they love me already. It's so sweet. Oh, that's beautiful. So she's got put here, we're starting to learn the dynamics of it. School mornings. All I can say is, oh my gosh, you full-time parents, you guys rock. Absolutely, Rachel, it hits you. Like, I want to also make mention here, Mel, one of the gorgeous Mel that's on, has I want to say 6 children, Mel, but I think Mel's got 5 children as a single mum who does that every morning, and I take my hat off to her. She's got the most gorgeous kids, but just getting them to school, just getting up in the mornings, just like trying to organise would be, Mel Richmond, who's on here. I know she normally watches, so well done, Mel, because, that's a lot of kids to get sorted. And I think I'm right with 5. So,
Mel, I try to deal with 5 personalities in my head, and that's a struggle. I don't know how you do 5 kids, so that is bloody amazing. That is very good.
And Monica's just popped in here. What's your psychological thoughts on that, Tony?
Which aspect? What was it? the one coming up in as a step parent, or which bit?
I reckon as step parents, because that's what we've been talking about.
As a step parent, the psychological part of it is how you frame up the situation. So know what you're coming into, accept that you're second fiddle. I think that's the most important thing, that you're going to be a partner to somebody that already has a family. You're there to actually fit into their culture, to their family, to their norms, and not to change anything whatsoever, and to support your partner in that sense of being a mum, or if you're a female, being a father. So how could you support that role best? You've got to fit into the team. That's the psychological thing. If you go in there, you think you can do it better than a parent or anything like that because you've got your own family values or morals or whatever, and disrupt their system that's already working for them, not the right relationship for you. You've come in with the wrong mindset. You're there to add to the piece, not to disrupt it.
And Tony, what would you suggest? Like, as a step parent, there's going to be frustrations, all right? There is definitely. So what would be some strategies that, all right, you're feeling frustrated, when you get to that point? Would there be things that you would suggest?
Yeah, let's say if I'm the stepfather, I'd always blame the genes from the father itself. Always shift responsibility is one. It's the best place to start. Okay, your mother's not like this. father must have been a real asshole.
Oh my God.
Look,
Right.
there are things where, you know, it's hard when it comes into the form of discipline. Where do you put like when they do something really out of whack, you know, that's a really hard, where do you draw the line on that? Myself personally, I always bring it back to the mum. I go, hey, look, what you're doing right now is not cool. You know, you've upset this person, or you've said this, that. I go, but look, let's just take it up with your mum. Always empower the mum around that situation. If it's a one-on-one, you know, because I'll get things like, oh, but you're not my real dad.
Yeah.
And I'll go, and because you can't swear at a kid, so like my vocabulary really dries up at that point. There's only so many oms I can do in that sense.
I was going to say,
I know it doesn't help you out.
Tony would be a big softie. It'd be like the mum would be having to do the disciplining because Tony would be there as extra child.
Yeah, but look, exactly. But if it was my own biological kids, that's different. That's a different ball game altogether, because it's a product of you. You're establishing the ground rules. Do you know what I mean? The ground rules have already been established, and these kids are just trying to play it for what it's worth, and they know how to do it well. And there's one side of it where I crack up, so I think, oh, that shit's funny. It's pretty naughty, but it's funny.
Yes, that happens often. That really does happen often.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Mel's put here rolling on the floor laughing. Tony Kiss, you're killing me. Just spilt my coffee.
Oh, Mel, sorry about that. Yeah. I'll look, put it this way, Tonia and Mel, I won't be writing a book on how to be a stepdad, because
you don't.
it'll be,
you never know. You never know, Tony.
Never know. Just never know. You never know what the universe brings. You just got to embrace it for what it is.
Can you share the line before we came on today that your thing was like your love life? What was that? You cracked me up.
It was a funny one, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was a great one. I was like, damn it, we missed that. It wasn't on the show, but
yeah, I think it was in the moment, Ton. It was one of those, we call that a magical moment, where it just happened in the moment. That shit's not rehearsed. That's straight off the cuff. If it comes back up into my mind, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, Monica's just put here, does that mean you want kids, Tony Kids? Yes, Monica, he'll have kids. We'll put our predictions. And Gay, sure. Can you get Gay's put in here as well? But Gay matchmaker, what are you doing? Like, you're sitting back here, Gay.
Yeah, she's just playing the listening game. And Gay, you know what? I'd love to hear your feedback right now on this one, but we're up to the 1 hour mark, Gay, and we just don't have time to explore it, do we?
But Gay has put a good one here. Our own kids play the parents off each other. It's not just step families, and that is exactly true. So there is a lot of parallels. You know, you do go through the same things, and you are, you know, for Rachel and all those other step parents out there, you are as important as the actual biological parent. So never think of that it isn't that way, because it certainly is. You are important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Children.
I got this. Check this out. Wait, ready? She's chasing ducks. Can you see that?
See that? Hey everyone, that's a sign. Tony, children, done.
I know.
Tick.
I know. That's good. She's chasing the ducks around. She's so cute. It's cracking me up.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Funny kid. Oh, they've just.
All right, away. Everyone, we have to wrap up because we've got to let Tony do his 100 and how many Ks today, Tony?
120 today, 150 tomorrow, and then an easy 100 on the last day, I think it is.
Beautiful.
It's all for mental health. I'm looking forward to it. And thanks again for everybody who has donated towards the Mental Wheels Foundation. It's going to a really good charity where it helps support free counselling and also research as well in mental health. So thank you everybody for that. And I always like to say, Tonia, you're the best. Thanks so much for opening up and being vulnerable today, and everybody else that was vulnerable as well. I really like today's show, the whole step parent thing. Wow, you've just opened up my eyes, Rachel. Thank you for opening up the conversation too. That was super cool. But I'm going to go off pedaling away now out of Bathurst, and I'll see you guys all next week.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing, Tony, we've learned so much about cycling today. That's been great. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So
that's
I'm
what
sure
we're
you're
here
going to inspire you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, thanks so much for that. See you later.
Take care, everybody. everybody. See you next week.